Hello everyone, welcome to GB Bricks. In today's video, I've got a review for you of a fantasy set. This is 85022. This is the Pirate Pub. It's been a long time since LEGO went all in on their pirate theme, so it's nice to see there are alternatives out there. But what do I think of this set now I've built it? Well, thank you to Pantasy for the review copy, and now let me tell you. So in our 5-point scoring system, we're going to start with the overall aesthetic of the build once it's complete, and here it is in its entirety. And it's fair to say it does look incredibly impressive. It's huge, absolutely massive in scale. It stands at about 58 centimeters tall, and whilst it's built on a 32 by 32 footprint, it's 4 16 by 16 plates that make up the base of it. Owing to parts that protrude past that, it's about 44 centimeters in width and depth too. So it's a pub that's been built on a sea cliff, and you have a few different entrances. You have the entrance to the bar, the pub itself, of course. You have the cave entrance just here, and you have the ship that's kind of been repurposed into the pub itself. So you have two parts of the ship. This is all brick built. There are no large molded pieces, and you basically build each part separately, then stack each part onto your base. There's some incredible attention to detail. I mean, you have so many small pieces in this set. If you look at the bar, I just turn this round, you'll see the bottles that line the back of the bar. You have the area up top here with food and drink. Again, huge amount of detail there in terms of the cups and the bottles and the chicken legs and what have you. And you also have down here, for example, again, there's the barrels, the kegs, and then a number of bottles where stock is in abundance. It's just a huge amount of attention to detail. It goes on further inside. So within the building itself, you can actually open this door here. You won't be able to see it from here, but I will show you some B-roll. But there's just so much going on inside. It really is impressive just how much detail they've put into this set. I love the use of color. The dark orange and the reddish brown work really well together. You have the highlights of gray. You have the sand pieces. You have dark reds. You have olive greens. Really good use of color, all of which complement each other very well, and a nice selection of pieces all mixed in together to give that aged look. As a spectacle, it definitely looks impressive. There are some bits that on an aesthetic viewpoint are not for my personal taste. This rum bottle here, as clever as it is in its design, I think is a little bit of overkill for me, but that's obviously a very personal opinion, and it's always better to have more, I guess, and strip it back to suit your personal taste than to not have enough. And as I said, it is very well built. Let's move on to the build experience then, and it took me a few nights, a few evenings, let's call it an hour and a half a night. I would imagine in terms of hours, maybe 6 or 7 hours to put this together. It's quite an experienced build, or you'd need some experience for it. It's quite delicate, and there are certainly parts where having some experience with brick building will come in handy. But I did enjoy putting this together, I must say. I liked the way it was built, almost in modules. It's not modular, you can't really take it apart. There are a couple of parts that do disconnect. Here, for example, you can take the back end of the ship off, and again, you can disconnect this part from this part. So there are some play opportunities. I will say it's quite delicate, and I wouldn't necessarily think it's the best for play. There are a lot of parts that fall off quite easily. I do consider this more of a display model, and I think that's what they were going for, because, for example, the winch here doesn't actually work. It's not designed to work. You can spin the wheel, but nothing actually happens. There are cogs there that will move, but they are just for show. It doesn't actually work. So I think this was designed with display in mind, to be fair. There's not too much repetition in this actually, which was a nice surprise. There were a few bits, don't get me wrong, but on the whole, a lot of what you do is different. It does feel quite varied. Even the different segments that you build all feel quite different in how you build them. And I love the fact that this part here, this main part of the ship, and obviously you have kind of the front of the ship over here, but this main part here was brick built. It was a very pleasant surprise. I was expecting there to be a couple of large molded pieces in there. Let's move on to building techniques now, and there are some interesting techniques used, creating kind of the overspill from the bottle and those translucent pieces. That's quite interesting. There were a number of other little bits, certainly building the bulk of the ship. As I said, it being brick built, I did enjoy that. The roof here was quite clever in how it's put together, albeit it's not attached very well. And that's my biggest criticism of this set. I've said this a couple of times with sets. I've mentioned it with Pantasy before as well. I do think they go for style over stability some of the time. And there are parts of this now that it's fully built that just feel quite precarious. And I wouldn't feel comfortable if I were young enough to be playing with sets still. I wouldn't feel comfortable playing with it. I'd be quite worried that it would fall apart. You seem to stack bricks a lot of the time, and it takes quite a while to get to a point where you then start to interlock them. So as you're building, it feels quite finicky at times. And then once it's built, I mean, this is connected by just a couple of studs. And if that does now disconnect, it's quite difficult to get yourself in there and fix it. You know, everything's quite hidden away. So any sort of repair jobs would be quite awkward. Another thing is that a lot of the plate work, so when you're putting plates together, they never again truly interlock. So if you see here, for example, I'm not going to fully break it, but I'm sure you can see that movement there where nothing is actually locking it in. And there are a few examples of that across the whole model. This part here, this balcony, is another example where, as you can see, I could take that whole thing off, which I don't ever like being the case in brick built models. I like everything to interlock and become quite sturdy. And as I mentioned right at the start of this section, I do think it's a case of style over stability, and it did need a bit more quality control. It's not quite the right word because it is a quality product, but just perhaps another step in that design phase where they just made sure that everything was locked in tight and it wasn't going to be so easy for it to fall apart. Just lifting it up, there's so many parts you could accidentally catch that can break off that for me that's not ideal. But I will say, having made that choice and gone for style, it is incredibly stylish to look at. So they've met that objective 100%. Let's move on to the next section in our review now, which is minifigures and use of overall budget. So there are 4 minifigures within the set, and we'll have a closer look at those now. So here is the first of the minifigures included, and this, if you haven't seen a Pantasy figure before, this is what they look like. They're quite large and chunky. I said in a previous review, they remind me a bit of like Fisher-Price, that sort of thing, from down the years, Playmobil perhaps, that sort of thing. And but they do feel quite nice and got a decent amount of articulation to them. Their hands move whilst their legs don't move. What they do instead have is a second piece. So if you take their legs off, you can then attach this sitting piece to them instead. And obviously then you can reattach the feet to them just there. You do also get 2 sets of feet for each one, so you get ones with an anti-stud in them so that they can stand on the studs somewhere within the model. If you want them sitting down and don't want to show the studs, you can do that too with these non-studded or feet with no anti-studs, and they just slot in there like so to complete the figure. So that's the captain. The second figure included is the sailor. So here he is with his eye patch on. Again, printed clothes, some arm printing there as well, and back printing. And again, you get the sitting piece and the extra pair of feet with all 4 of these figures. You get 2 sightseers as they're labelled. So here is the first. Again, back printing, arm printing, leg printing. The hair comes off on these, by the way, in case you were wondering, and you can mix and match to your heart's content. And here is the final one. Again, another sightseer, and again printed all the way round. Looking at budget as a whole, I think it's fair to say that this set uses its budget very well. There are a fair number of printed pieces. This sign here is all printed. These are separate pieces. They do come apart. They've all been printed very well, and they do knot together. There are no kind of gaps in between the words. It looks like one piece. I would have expected that to be one whole piece had it not been for the obvious join lines of the bricks themselves. Nothing to do with the print. The flag is also a print, and there are a number of others within the building itself. There's a few wanted posters on the walls. There's a book, a map, etc. Some of the food pieces are printed too. There is one sticker in the set, and it's not the sticker itself that is the issue. It's this rum sticker here for the bottle. The sticker itself is absolutely fine. It's of good quality. It looks very nice. My only issue with it really is it goes across two pieces, which I'm never a fan of. I don't like it when that's the case. I'd rather it went across just one piece, or be two separate stickers that you butt together, as long as obviously they're cut in such a way that they look like they go together seamlessly. That's not the case though. It's one sticker across two pieces, but to be the only sticker in the set is fair enough. The other thing that I'm not massively enamored with is the fact that this sail is card and not fabric. I think this could have done with being fabric. I would rather they'd use some of the budget for that and for the sticker, and take it from other places, to be honest. But once it's on, to be fair, it doesn't look too bad. I do believe that Pantasy, this is just my opinion, it's not anything I know with any certainty, but they put so many small details in their sets which do really help to build quite an alive feeling world building, etc., that they seem to use a lot of larger pieces for structure. So a lot of the walls are built with large 1x4x4s or 1x12 bricks, that sort of thing, 1x2x4s. So I believe that they perhaps bring back the piece count that way so that they can add so many details. It's just a preference thing. It's whether you prefer the building or the details. But the details that are here look beautiful. It's a lovely looking set. Once it's built, it is quite breathtaking actually, to be fair. That brings us on to value then, and Pantasy set 85022, the Pirate Pub, will cost $149.99, and I will try to find some regional equivalents. If I have, they'll be on the screen now. And for that, you're getting 2,858 pieces. For 2,800 odd pieces, $150, again, regional equivalents will apply. I do think that's fantastic value for money. The fact there are so many prints in the set, it is. I did say that I felt it was more display than play. I do stand by that, but I will give it its due in that there are a few play features. I showed you the door to the ground floor of the pub. There's also a door in here. And again, with some really nice details in there. You've got the captain's bed, a treasure chest full of treasure, and the table. Here are a couple of the other prints whilst it's here. So you get this book. So that's just another nice little detail. And whilst the winch that I mentioned earlier doesn't actually work, it doesn't go up and down, the crane does go left to right. So there's some play value there too. Pantasy set 85022, the Pirate Pub, gets a GB Bricks score of 88%. So there you have it, that's the Pantasy Pirate Pub. Very impressed, I must say. Looks fantastic, good quality of bricks, and a fun build experience. Yeah, really do enjoy this one. If you do want to pick this one up, there will be a link in the description with a discount code. It's not an affiliate link, I don't get anything for it at all. It's just there, or if what you've seen has convinced you and you want to pick it up. It's a US link to Amazon. So yeah, it's down there if you want it. And do feel free to subscribe if you like what you've seen. from my channel, and feel free to watch some more of my content. My previous video before this was a look back at some of the sets that I really regret not having as a kid. I'm sure an experience that all of us have had at some point. Do give that a watch. There's a card to it in the top right hand corner. Take care, and until next time, happy building.